Okay. Would you like to do me a favor? Would you like to swipe for me today? Okay. Yes. All right. So I need you to go back a couple slides to section 3, more controversy. I think you guys are really going to like this section. Okay. Because it's definitely controversial. Okay. Okay. It's definitely going to make you guys think. Oh, what's wrong? What you need?
I don't like I need a bigger pen or pencil.
I got some right up here. Controversial. Okay. So a controversy is something that makes people talk. Let's see, what would be a great example of this? Would a lot of political things are controversial because they end up splitting people. Okay, is it right? Is it wrong? That kind of thing. So, and we're actually going to talk about that with two things here. Specifically, Abigail's here. I forgot to do attendance, so that's fun.
Lola with the hair's here.
I see that. I literally just clicked your name.
Oh yeah.
But Jacob is not here again. Anybody know? Is he okay?
Oh, he's on the good. He's on the Mexico.
You are right. You are right. He is. We already talked about that. He took a book. Okay. Connor. Has anybody checked on Connor lately?
No.
Probably growing up.
He is not mean. He was.
Yeah, he goes, I'm Connor and I'm tall and you're short. That's word for word what he says.
Is he wrong?
Every time.
Is he wrong though?
I mean, yes. Debatable.
Okay. Dusty. Okay. All right, here we go. So more controversy. Now remember, John Adams is already dealing with controversy. Okay. Hey, swipe me back to section 3. All the way back to section 3.
Section 3 on my lap. Section 4.
Right, not 4, not 2. Okay, right. No, one more. There we go. No. There we go.
Instant execution.
Okay. All right. So John Adams is already dealing with some issues. Okay. He is not very popular. Remember, because we have issues with the boats. Britain and France are coming on. They're stealing our people. Okay. He made an agreement with France. He didn't go to war. People are very upset with him about that. Okay. Then the XYZ affair. We have the French agents that went through and were trying to bribe them. And then we sent the ambassador over there. So John Adams is not doing very well right now. And then he decides he has a great idea for a couple new laws. And those are called the Alien and Sedition Acts. Okay? Now, most of the time when we talk about aliens, okay, we are talking about the beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, okay? Are there aliens, right? And that means somebody that is not from our planet. But alien also means someone not from our country. Okay? So we would be aliens in Canada because we're not from Canada. All right? So John Adams, he's got an issue because people are coming over here to the United States, to this new country, and they're starting stuff. Okay? Starting stuff. You have immigrants from Britain and France that are arriving here. So in 1798, he signs the Alien and Sedition Acts, and these laws restrict the freedom of immigrants and anyone who criticizes the government. Now we're going to break these down. The Alien Act allows John Adams, it says in your book, to expel, let's just be frank, to deport anyone that he considered dangerous to the country. Now, that doesn't mean an American citizen. He's talking about an immigrant, a foreigner. So he's saying that what is happening is there are tons and tons of British and French immigrants who have been coming to the United States. And what they're doing is going, hey, You guys, this country sucks. So what I'm saying here, you giving me, let's start a war. Let's overthrow it. Let's be Britain again. What do you think, eh? Okay? And John Adams is like, you go back home. Get out. Because if you are going to come over here and you're going to start to overthrow or try to overthrow our country, you have no reason to be here. You are committing a crime. Get out. Okay? Then we have the Sedition Acts. Now, the Sedition Act is a little iffy. The Sedition Act is for American citizens. And that is, if you talk bad about the government, you're going to be arrested. Now, that violates one very important law. What is it? Freedom of speech, which is what?
The First Amendment?
The First Amendment. Okay? It literally is right there in our Bill of Rights that you may do no law that impedes or infringes on, sorry, I read that wrong, abridges the freedom of speech, meaning it stops the freedom of speech. We made that law because while we were fighting King George, there were people that were writing letters, articles, newspapers, and they were getting in trouble for talking about King George or saying anything bad about him. So isn't this the same thing that John Adams is doing? Is he saying, hey, you're not allowed to speak or write anything against the government? Okay, that is a direct violation of freedom of speech. So this causes a lot of controversy. Now, I'm going to even throw a wrench in your guys' love for Alexander Hamilton a little bit more. I know, I'm breaking hearts. Okay. Alexander Hamilton liked both these laws. He was a big fan. He was totally okay with the immigrants being deported. And he was totally okay with freedom of speech being taken away. Now, I'm going to give him a little bit of grace on this whole immigrant one, and let me talk to you about it. Yes. Good. I was just about to ask y'all. Okay. Don't they sing about that all the time? Doesn't Aaron Burr say all the time that he's an immigrant when they're talking about him, when he's listing all the things about him? Okay. He's an immigrant. Why in the world would an immigrant sit here and say that all these other guys need to get out? Well, let me tell you why. Here we go. Alexander Hamilton was not supposed to be anything when he was born. And he worked at it. Against all odds, he makes it here to the United States. Okay? He works his butt off. He becomes an American citizen. He fights in the American Revolution for the freedoms of this country. He helps write documents. He builds the government. So as far as he's concerned, if you are an immigrant and you come over here and you disrespect all of the hard work that I put into that get out. He's not against immigrants. He is against that you would come over here and try to break up everything that is good about this country. And it was happening. And you guys will find out here in our next book what ends up happening with a lot of the people that are here from France and Britain that don't get moved away. Okay? That don't get deported. There is a real threat. And Alexander Hamilton says, how dare you? How dare you do that? That's a disrespect to me. So you can kind of go, okay, I get that. Now, what's hard to understand is how Alexander Hamilton could support the Sedition Act. How can you support freedom of speech? Sir, didn't you write 51 essays talking about other people or why their version of the government is bad before we had the government? His whole platform relies on freedom of speech, and he's basically sitting there saying, yeah, you can't talk bad about us. Now, I understand you shouldn't come over here and not appreciate the country that it is, but also at the same time, you kind of built your life on free speech. Okay? So it's a little interesting. Alexander Hamilton and the Federalists side all approved the Alien Sedition Act. They liked it. However, the Democratic Republicans and Thomas Jefferson's side did not like it. They were not fans of it. As a matter of fact, James Madison and Thomas Jefferson both wrote laws in Virginia to go against the Alien and Sedition Act. They made their own state laws, which doesn't really work that way. A state law doesn't oversee the federal law, but they tried. All right. This caused a lot of issues, and the people are not happy about it. Yes. Huh? The Bill of Rights has all of these. The Bill of Rights actually takes power away from the federal government and gives it back to the people. And we're going to talk about that in a second, because that's actually important in the next section. Okay. So we have our Constitution, which says this is the job of the government. But the Bill of Rights, all of these and any amendment that comes after it is guaranteed rights for the people that the government may not take away. So it takes away power from the government. Because the government could look at you. There are countries where it's like, you can't talk about that. You can't say that. Well, that just took power away from the people. Okay, so that's what the Bill of Rights does. Is it gives, these are our rights. You ain't taking these from us. Okay. So with that being said, at your table, okay, and poor host, I took away your purse and I apologize. Okay. But what did the Alien and Sedition Acts allow the president to do? These, again, they make good notes. They'll help you answer. Okay. But you guys should know, what did these acts allow the president to do? All right. Now this one is a really good way for you to look at any law. Okay, any time or anything you have to vote for is in this exercise. Make an argument for and against the Alien and Sedition Acts. So the Alien Act, okay, removing the immigrants. I want you to, in your head, think about it. Why could that be good? But also, why could it be bad? But then also do the same thing for the Sedition Act. Why would it be good to stop people from talking bad about the government? But why is it bad if we stop them from taking it? Okay, this is called kind of playing devil's advocate. It makes you look at both sides of an argument. If you can question yourself on this and come up with those, you can decide, okay, which one's better. Okay, yeah, because everything has a good and a bad consequence. Every decision that you make, right? There's a lot of people that think making the decision to be smart in Miss Bethel's class and do her journal makes them look really not cool to their friends. But I'm just here to let you guys know that doing your journal is cool. Okay? Be the cool kids. Okay? Do your journal. That's what I told a student earlier. I was like, listen, you can be smart and still be like, yo, what's up?
Like me.
Okay?
I want to be as respectful as I can. Please don't ever do that.
What? What's up?
This almost hit.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Zachary?
No, she's the older Zachary, but female. Yeah.
No.
Hold on a second.
I don't like
I do not love my band instrument.
She does not. No, but like,
Oh, yeah.
it's not even that. It's just the
Okay.
craziness.
I threw my flute away and twirled flags. So
Well, you did. The only instrument I've ever played is the flute.
I believe color guards
Oh.
are like mine.
I threw my flute away. Playing the flute.
Everyone stop throwing their instruments away.
I hate
No,
it.
you wait. I said you
okay, listen. This just went in a completely odd direction.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So go ahead and swipe. Let's talk about our guiding question. All right. So your guiding question is, did the Alien and Sedition Acts protect the country or limit people's rights? So how are we going to answer this question? Yeah, but tell me. You don't have to read it on here. It's also at the top of your page.
Wait, like restate it, like right now?
Yeah, like if you were going to start your answer, how would we say it?
The Alien and Sedition Acts protect the country. Protected the country because or by.
Okay, right. Or if you take the other route, right, you have to pick a side. In this guiding question, you're going to pick a side. Did it protect? Did it limit? And why? So yes, the Alien and Sedition Acts protected the country because, or the Alien and Sedition Acts actually limited the people's rights because. Okay, so not everybody is going to have the same answer. You do need to pick a side on that. Huh? If you think it does both, that's fine. You can do that too. Absolutely. All right, go ahead and swipe. Oh, I'm gonna give you a second. Yes, if we can, I told second hour, if we can get through and finish the book tomorrow, I may actually get rid of one of the primary sources, which would give us next Monday for catch-up day. Tuesday would be test day. Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is essay day. But Monday, I will play the Hamilton soundtrack while we are, because they wanted me to play the election of 1800 today, and I don't have time.
Like the whole soundtrack? Like all of the songs? All 2 hours?
Like I will start it in first hour and then let that sucker play all through third hour. Well, you guys might end up getting a little bit of the end and the beginning if we have to restart it.
Is this the big essay?
I mean, really, what? I know, I've been to the play.
Good songs.
Where do you think I got my flag?
You know what?
And my cup?
When we get here, you do me something.
I came up with the idea for the play. What about me, guys?
Me so loud.
No, we can't. It's got we can't be loud. We're not putting on a play. Okay, yes. We're not talking about that right now. Okay, we are on this, but yes, that's coming. Okay, yes. All right. The election of 1800. I do want to point out that I made a mistake, and I'm not going to fix it for until next year. So there's supposed to be 3 questions here. However, here's this question in a smaller font and the exact same question in a bigger font. I do not know why I did this. Okay? And I don't know what question is supposed to be here. But just know that, okay, this is the same question as this one, but one is bigger and one is smaller. Okay? We will fix it for next year. All right. So the election of 1800. John Adams has all of the audacity in the world to run again. Okay? After everything that he has just done, he's like, you know what? I think I can do this again. Right? Now, he has his supporters. Okay? There are still states that voted for him. All right? It's like that. What's that TikTok video? And it's like, and that's your man. That's my man.
Me.
Okay? And I'm going to stick by him. Okay? That's what they were doing to John Adams. Okay? That was their man, and they weren't letting go. Okay? Thomas Jefferson runs. Aaron Burr runs. A guy named Charles Pinckney runs, and so does John Jay. Okay? Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson end up getting the exact same number of votes. Okay? Well, that's a slight problem because we cannot have 2 presidents. Cannot be co-presidents. Now, how is it that Thomas Jefferson was able to win and us have a flip of the party? Well, we're going to talk about this for just a minute. Alexander Hamilton and John Adams' group was called the Federalists. And they named themselves after, of course, what they were called when they were writing the Federalist Papers, the Federalist Essays. Okay? Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, okay, Aaron Burr, they're all considered the anti-federalists. Do you guys understand what they were writing for and against? Does anybody know? Okay, kind of like maybe, but no. Okay. The Federalists were pushing for the Constitution to be ratified as soon as possible without the Bill of Rights. Thomas Jefferson was the anti-federalist and said, absolutely not. We have to have a Bill of Rights. We have to have these things. So it kind of makes sense when we know that John Adams and Alexander Hamilton approved of the Alien and Sedition Act, which took away free speech because they didn't even want to worry about the Bill of Rights in the first place. Okay? So people are starting to realize, maybe these Federalists want too much power, and they decide to go with Thomas Jefferson. But of course, it's a tie with him and Aaron Burr. The Electoral College, they get the same amount of votes. They get 73. So now, how do we choose? Is it going to be Jefferson or Burr?
Jefferson.
Okay. It does end up being Jefferson, but how does that happen?
Because he's handsome.
People don't really know that.
He's good looking.
Huh? The House of Representatives gets to choose. Okay, so now Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson are on the ballot. The House of Representatives has to vote. All right. Do you think it was an easy vote? No. It took over 30 times of them voting. They kept coming to a tie. Every single time they kept coming to a tie. And then finally, Thomas Jefferson beats Aaron Burr, and Aaron Burr becomes vice president. Now, I like to think that Alexander Hamilton probably had something to do with that last vote, because let's just face it, Alexander Hamilton would have loved to be president, right? Man, I bet you if Aaron Burr would have made it, that would have just been a knife to Alexander's heart. If Aaron Burr would have been president, okay? President?
Oh.
But don't worry, I've absolutely said that. I've said it. Okay.
That way.
So, right.
They were talking, and Alexander admitted that we voted for Thomas and not Burr, and they had like a full disagreement, and then your obedient servants happened, and then
Right. Exactly. Alexander Hamilton was like, I'm not voting you for president. Not doing it. Okay. That was his enemy. Right. So now they realize this is a problem. The House of Representatives cannot be electing the president. All right. It can't work. So they decided to change the process, and they added our 12th amendment to the Constitution. And what that says is that instead of the people casting 2 votes for president, you vote once for president, once for vice president. So we still have 2 different votes at this point, not like today, okay? But instead, you're like, okay, well, I think I want this guy for president and then this guy for vice president. So it separates that vote instead of just being like, well, whoever gets more votes gets to be the president or vice president, okay? The 12th Amendment. So the 12th Amendment separates the vote for president and vice president. All right. So let's take a look at our questions. Describe the presidential election of 1800. Can you describe the presidential election of 1800? Okay, think about that. Can you repeat back what kinds of things happened during the election of 1800? Never gonna be president. I love that song. That's my favorite. That is my absolute favorite song. When it's never gonna be president now. What? Huh? Yeah. I follow a couple of the people that are on tour on like some of the off Broadways, and this one girl, she changes up her dance every time because they get to freestyle like the background dancers, and so like people will tell her what dance to do and stuff. So then she's like, she gets somebody to record it, and so she's out there doing like somebody went out there and did the worm on it. So like every time you go and see it, those dances will never be the same if you go and watch the show because they pick which freestyle dance they're going to be doing. You're going to be seeing scuba and out there. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I live in a free country. Thank you very much. Okay. I did just do the scuba. You missed it though, man. Yeah, you got to be paying attention. Okay. Why did the House of Representatives decide the election in small font? But you can also answer it in big font.
Thank you for the choice.
You're welcome.
Can I put it in parentheses, small font? Can I put it in medium font? Can I put it in
Oh, like it's AIM in the 2000s. Yeah. That would be 2000. It's okay. It was some millennial references. It was way before you were born.
Ask my mom for that. I'm thinking of the way people were talking.
Okay. Okay. Put it in all caps. Okay, like you're angry. All right, go ahead and swipe.
I did that when I was yelling.
Guiding question. Why was the election of 1800 a turning point for American democracy? Why was this a turning point for the American democracy? Okay. Why was this such a big deal? Huh? Okay. Why was this such a big deal? So how do we get to this? The election of 1800 was a turning point in American democracy because blah, 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 blah. Third time's a charm. All right. So I kind of made an oops. I'm not totally upset about it. I think I know what I was thinking when I made the oops, but it was about 3 months ago. So I cannot confirm nor deny. Okay. But Section 5 is called the Electoral College. And Section 5 doesn't actually have a section in the book. It has a little square. It's on page 23. And I think I did that because I really just wanted to talk with y'all about it. Plus, it has a vocab word. Okay. So if you can just listen to me, the things that I say are perfectly good notes. But we do have a little box. That box says, in the presidential election, voters across the states cast their votes for the president. Then electors in the Electoral College, established by the Constitution, then vote on behalf of these voters. Each state has the same number of electors as it does member of Congress. The candidate who receives the most Electoral College votes becomes the president. So when we are looking at a map of electorates, okay, which I do have one, it is actually on the side by the jellyfish. All right. You can, it shows how many electors that each state has. Okay. Currently today, a president must receive more than 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. Okay. It was different back then because the numbers were smaller. Okay. The reason that we have the Electoral College is because if we did not, our candidates would only focus on the most popular states instead of trying to go to the smaller states. Now, we can see this in an example. Which state do you think has the most votes? California. California has 54 electoral votes. Okay. Now that makes up however many electoral votes a state has. That is how many representatives they get in the House of Representatives. So they have 54 representatives in the House and 2 senators. Louisiana only gets 8. We get 8 representatives and then 2 senators. So the Senate is always the same. Every state gets 2. But the House of Representatives is based on population. Okay? That means, okay, and then this is just the truth. If you're watching election night, you'll see people with a big map behind them, and they kind of tap the color of the state, and they'll just turn it a certain color. Even before the votes come in California, California's already blue. We know before the polls open, California's going to be blue. All the time, doesn't matter. Okay? We also know that New York, on the other side, blue. No matter what. Okay? Florida, red. Texas, red. Okay? No matter what. But the reason that we do this is because if we tended to base it on popular vote alone, then those 4 states, they would decide the presidency. Us smaller states wouldn't matter. And we see that with the electorates. California will be blue, 54 votes. It takes this many red states to beat out California. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, New Mexico. California alone is 54 votes. It takes 10 states in the middle of the country to be able to beat 1 state. Now remember, electorates are voted on its popular vote, right? But if you have an entire population of one of the largest states vote in one way, but let's say that in those 10 states, they still turned red, but let's say 25% of those populations still voted blue, right? The state would turn red, okay? But all those blue votes would go on top of what California had, okay? Which means that if California chose, does that represent everybody? No, because you had all the smaller states, right? So the Electoral College's whole point is to try and level the playing field with population. All right? There are and have been times where the person who has won the most popular vote has not won the presidency because they didn't get the Electoral College votes. That's happened twice in my lifetime. Okay? That happened in 2000 when Al Gore lost to George W. Bush. Al Gore got more popular votes, and George W. Bush, there was Florida have a whole recount because there was hanging chads. It was wild, okay? So George W. Bush ends up winning. The next time it happens is with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton did obtain the popular vote, and Donald Trump won the Electoral College. Now, every time that this happens, somebody is mad. I promise you, okay, that if a Republican won the popular vote and didn't win the Electoral College, Republicans would be sitting there and whining and crying and saying, the Electoral College sucks, we need to get rid of it. Okay? Okay, a lot of the Democrats don't like the Electoral College because so far in the past 20 years, 2 of their candidates haven't made it. Okay? They're all going to whine. Everybody's going to whine and say the Electoral College doesn't work. Okay? Ms. Bethel's a big fan. Happen to like it. All right? And it's okay if you don't. Okay? But just watch when it does happen and the Republicans take the popular vote and we don't win, they're going to be on the news media. This is an outdated system from 1776 and we need to throw it out. Okay? They're all going to be doing that crazy thing. All right? The other thing that they want to make sure of is they were worried that people were going to be tried to be led by a candidate that was a demagogue. There's one of your vocab words, which is a political leader who appeals to people's prejudices and desires to gain power. All right. So like a demagogue is someone who would just focus on trying to get the most people behind him in those popular type states and leave out the people who are smaller. Okay, and huh? No. Oh no, you missed my entire. That was second hour. My Southern Belle accent. You'll get that during the Civil War when we talk about that. It came out earlier. Sometimes an accent just shows itself up. Just comes out. I feel led to use it. All right. Your next section, section 6, is Mr. President Thomas Jefferson.
I've heard about it.
Okay. If you can go ahead and swipe me, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm not excited.
Got like 2 hours of sleep last night.
All right. Thomas Jefferson. So our first 3 presidents, Washington, John Adams, and then Thomas Jefferson. 1, 2, 3. Washington, Adams, Jefferson.
I agree.
Okay? We get Thomas Jefferson. And y'all, I like Thomas Jefferson.
Because I never seen him as a I always thought he was black.
You are not the first person to tell me that. And it's probably because your reference is Hamilton, right? Okay. Which the entire cast is the only people that are white are the ones that are background actors. Lin-Manuel Miranda did it that way on purpose, which is great. But yeah, you are not like second hour, same thing. They're like, wait, Thomas Jefferson's white? Like, nope, he was white. Okay, Thomas Jefferson, I'm a big fan of. Now, there is not one president on that wall that is ultimately perfect, because is anybody perfect? No, not at all. Okay, and we're going to talk about Thomas Jefferson is going to get called out. Okay, but you guys are going to decide at the end of this, what do you think? Is Thomas Jefferson okay? Or is he not cool? Okay, I want to know at the bottom of the page or somewhere whether or not you like Thomas Jefferson. Aiden, stick with me, babe. All right. So President Jefferson believes truly in the pursuit of happiness. He writes, okay, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and he lives by that. And he believes that people need to have their rights protected. Thomas Jefferson also believes in what is called self-governance. He believes that the people are smart enough to govern themselves. They don't need this big, scary monster federal government hanging over them and telling them what to do. Okay? But he does believe that it is incredibly important that the people be educated. Okay? You can't make an informed decision unless you are educated. So Thomas Jefferson, before he becomes president, he wants to start free education in the state of Virginia. Okay? Free education, free school, free college. He wants people to be able to educate themselves. Because how can you fight your enemies in government if you don't know what they're doing? You can't, right? If someone is telling you, oh, well, you have to do this, but you're educated enough to go, nah, that's not the right rule. You can fight against them, right? Education is what helps you fight against the people who want to control you. Okay? If you aren't educated, you won't know what to do when somebody comes at you with information. But of course, it was shot down. The Virginia legislative said, no, we're good. We don't need to keep people educated. We don't need to give them free education. Why do you think education costs so much right now? Huh?
Inflation.
No. Isn't it kind of like Alexander Hamilton? Oh, only the rich should lead? Only the people who can afford to go to school should lead? Huh? I mean, I owe the government $80,000 right now for my education.
Silly Bethel.
No. Oh. Yeah, I owe $80,000 for my degree.
OMG,
That's how much it costs. I also went to a very private and expensive school, so that's on me, y'all.
Just do some money laundering.
No, it was student loans, but also like I made some stupid decisions. They will give you extra money if like you'll have a refund, so you get more grants or more loans than you need, and you don't have to accept them. Listen, like I might have bought a couple of computers and a couch set, and spent some money at IKEA that I didn't need to. So, okay, is the $80,000 just my student loan? No.
Yeah, don't lie.
How much was your student loan?
Will they do anything if you don't pay it? Instant
Are you going to pay
executions.
it?
No, I'm going to pay it.
Eventually.
I gotta pay some things off, and then I'll be able to pay it. I'm in a deferment. I'm a teacher, so I don't have to pay it right away.
If you don't pay off like your debt, your loans, they can pass out of your kids.
It's okay. I'm gonna divorce them so they don't have to worry about it.
I have debt.
Okay.
I have like $30 in debt.
Yeah, no, I have not, but I will eventually. All right. The other issue that Jefferson actually works pretty passionately towards is the abolition of slavery. Now, abolition is not one of your guys' vocab words. It will come up, but Thomas Jefferson was actually trying to make slavery go away. Okay, and how he thought to start it was not to just say, today we have no slavery. Instead, he said, I think the best way to start this would be that any children that are born from slavery, they will automatically have their freedom. Okay? Now, eventually what would happen is that the current slaves would get older, right? And slowly they would end up passing away from old age, and then eventually everybody would be free. Okay? Because they were not just going to cut it off immediately. He said that's not going to work, but we can slowly roll this out, and then eventually all African Americans will be free. What do you think that Virginia said?
No.
They said no. Not going to do it. Okay. He also drafted what is called the Land Ordinance, okay, in 1784, and he tried to make sure that there would be no slavery in any other state created. Do you think that passed? No?
Maybe. No.
Now, eventually in the Northwest Territory, which was that upper blue states that we talked about on that other map, they did say no slavery in the Northwest Territory. But the rest of it, nope. The only thing that he was able to get passed that was to help with the slavery situation was in 1807, and that was the ban on the international slave trade. Okay, so that was the big boats that were coming from Africa with all of the slaves on them that were chained. He stopped that from coming here. The only trade that could happen was in the United States. So there was still slaves being sold and bought, okay, in the United States between states, but we were not getting the very large, massive pull of slaves from the Caribbean and from Africa. He did stop that. Now, the biggest thing that people say is that, well, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. So, like, you're a slave owner, and you're sitting here, and you're bringing all this stuff up, and you want this stuff to go away. So why don't you do it? And this contradiction, this conversation was actually recorded in many letters that a guy named Benjamin Banneker had with Thomas Jefferson. Why do we know the name Benjamin Banneker?
He was like the African or in free.
Oh,
He's a free African American man, and he did what?
Oh, he remembered the plans to build the monument for Washington.
No, not the monument.
He built the plan.
He remembered the plans to build.
The National Bank.
No, the whole Capitol. L'Enfant was the architect.
Yeah, and
He got fired, and he took the plans, and Benjamin Banneker was the one who remembered him. Remember, Benjamin Banneker is like a genius. He's also an African American who had never been enslaved. So, guys, You have Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, who is legitimately having conversations with his friend, Benjamin Banneker. And Benjamin Banneker calls him out. He goes, hey, you know, you're doing all this stuff, which is great, but how can slavery still exist when you're talking about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness? Here's our unalienable rights. And he's asking Jefferson, how can you proclaim these things but still be a slaveholder? And Jefferson literally tells Benjamin Banneker, slavery's wrong. It's wrong. It's bad. I know this. And he says, Benjamin, there are people that sit here and talk about how African Americans could not be smart or they can't accomplish these things. But my friend, you literally prove everybody wrong. I can sit here and if somebody says African Americans are stupid, I can literally say, here's my friend Benjamin Banneker. You know, you're one of the smartest people that I've ever met. But he never gives Banneker a satisfying question or response. Okay, Benjamin is still sitting there asking him, bro, why do you still have this? He's got no response. Okay. And it's not because Thomas Jefferson was a bad guy. Look at all the things he tried to do, right? He tried. It's not his fault it didn't go through. But guys, there are so many people back then who thought all of this stuff was insane. Thomas Jefferson, is there something wrong with you? Are you sick? Do we need to put you into a hospital? How in the world? Free education? Free the slaves? This guy must be out of his mind. Okay? No one was going to look at him in the way that he wanted to be looked at if he just looked at all of his slaves and said, you guys can be free. Okay? Did you see my note on your book about your note section? But you're still doing it. You didn't even look. You didn't even care to look at my notes or the corrections. Wow. I don't even know how to write things.
Wow.
Okay. So the question is Thomas Jefferson still a good president? Even though he was a slaveholder, even though he did not release his slaves, was all that he tried to do and did do, is that good enough to be considered a good person?
Yes.
Okay, you guys have to decide that. All right, so your think, pair, share. What did Thomas Jefferson try to do in Virginia before becoming president? Okay, what was that one thing that he was going to try and get passed before he became president? I know it's cozy, but you can't be my slave for anymore if you're going to fall asleep. Okay? All right, wake up. Okay. Which one of those things was he trying to do before he became president? And then ask yourself, why did Jefferson draft the 1784 land ordinance? Why was that important? Okay. What was he trying to accomplish by drafting that? All right, go ahead, swipe. All right. And your guiding question: how did Thomas Jefferson's actions both support and contradict his belief about liberty? Okay, so all of these things that he's trying to do, he believes life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So how are the things that he's doing support that, but then also contradict means go against it? Okay. You're saying life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but you're also doing this, this, and this. Okay? And that is it for today's lesson. We will do the other two sections tomorrow. There is a mini section in there that's called Barbary Pirates. I haven't decided, and I won't decide till tomorrow, but I have a feeling we're going to put a big giant X on that mini section. I don't know why I put it there. I can't validate any reasons for it. So more than likely that's going away.